with Optimal Health Education. Thank you for joining me. This is what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about drop foot. What is drop foot? It's actually when the foot, when you're walking and you're translating, that foot has a natural flexion that it does. And with drop foot, it loses that ability to do that. What are the problems with drop foot is that you can fall easier. That it'll change the relationship between the knee, the hip, and the low back, because now that foot doesn't come up, it has to come from somewhere in order to move that body. And where it comes from is usually the hip. And when it comes from the hip, the low back gets compromised. And so drop foot has a big problem, a big cascade of other areas that it can create other problems. So we're going to help people that drop foot. How does it come in? It comes in with what they call piriformis syndrome. Piriformis syndrome is, you'll usually see it in a runner or someone that does a lot of extension on their leg. And what it is the muscle that runs sideways and it pushes on the sciatic nerve. And when that happens, that nerve is the one that actually feeds this leg, and it can actually go into a drop foot. And if we can stimulate that nerve all the way from the piriformis, we can actually influence the drop foot. The other thing that you can get drop foot from is a stroke, a post-stroke, an aneurysm. Somewhere where there's a neurological discord from the brain and it influenced the nerve here. We can stimulate the nerve, and we can also stimulate other areas of the body. If you look at other podcasts or you look at some of my other videos, one on pelvic rotation, that can help with creating a little bit more stability in another area that'll help this area. Our body is very unique, and we can support it. If we have a problem here, we can support it with other measures to create some more balance and harmony in the areas that are already stronger. One area that is stronger is in her pelvis, and so we can lend towards more stability and more control in her pelvis, and that will help with the drop foot. Right now, what I'm going to do is do an assessment on the drop foot, and what I will notice is the feet are actually a little bit tight. These ligaments are really tight right here. That tells me there's a lot of effort in her trying to pull this foot up. It also tells me when the feet are even more pronounced like this, that tells me there's a low back injury or there's a low back stiffness. That's what shows up here. So in this regard, the tightness right there, we want our feet to be a nice wide pad. We don't want hoofs that are like this, because that'll compromise our balance and our control of movement in our whole body. And so we want a pad that's nice. So for a drop foot person, if it's prolonged, you're looking at putting a nice stretch in here. So daily stretching, keeping these ligaments open, because once they start coming in like this, the foot starts collapsing in. When that happens, we've got a little problem going on, a bigger problem. Not only do we have the foot not being able to fully pull up, but we also have a foot that's more like a hoof. So now we've got balance issues as well. So I'll address that by doing a nice stretch. And it is different than this other foot. This other foot lays nice. There's not a lot of tightness in there. And so I know that it is a result of the drop foot. So what we'll do with this is we're going to assist the drop foot. And one way of using it is to go ahead and use some kinesio tape. And this stuff is magic. It's wonderful. So I'm going to do a nice a measurement. And how I measure is just going to go right here, because I'm going to put a stretch in it. And the idea is when this foot comes up, what's happening is it's inciting this muscle right here, anterior tibialis. And when that gets incited, that foot can come up. So what I'm going to do is with the kinesio tape, I'm going to incite that muscle. So we're going to give her a little bit of support, but we're going to incite that muscle. We're going to anchor right here, right on the anterior tib. If you're not sure where it's at, then you pull up this foot, and you can see it extending itself, and then you can find it. It's right on the outside of the shin bone. Then you're going to take the kinesio tape, fully extend it, then drop that foot down and anchor right there, and then just push that down. And this is going to be a tremendous amount of support for her to incite that muscle. We're going to teach that muscle how to work again by having a nice reminder. So every time she goes to translate that foot and move, this muscle is going to get incited. And when that muscle gets incited, the tape is automatically going to pull that foot up. And the value to that is that little micro movement that's happening is going to stimulate that muscle to keep stimulating and stimulating and stimulating, and pretty soon more and more of that muscle get incited and more of that muscle will start coming back and alive. Thank you for joining me today. Please come to the website at optimalhealtheducation.com and sign up for future information about peak performance, pain, or restoration. And by the way, I do phone consults as well as see people in my office. I'm located in Southern California.